There's been conflicting reports over the years regarding how Eminem and Kim met, but according to a Complex article citing a Rolling Stone interview with Eminem himself, he met Kim when he was 15 and she was 13, when he was apparently standing on a table with his shirt off rapping LL Cool J's song I'm Bad. This was in roughly 1987, and if they met when Eminem was age 15, and at the time of recording Eminem is 50, this truly means that this has been a 35-year love story. Now, if you followed Eminem's music or seen 8 Mile, you'll know that Eminem grew up on some of the most poverty-stricken streets of Detroit, and Kim was right there with him. And just like Eminem, she had trouble at home from a young age too. Many years later, in an interview with Dr. Keith, Kim would actually open up about her rough upbringing growing up in some of the poorest parts of Detroit.
It was me and my sister and my mom. She was a single mother. We don't know our father. My mom was on welfare. She worked under the table at a bar. We were so poor that my sister and I had to shoplift just to get food when we were between the ages of 4 and 5.
Clearly, she had a lot in common with Eminem himself, who struggled with his difficult mother Debbie and her problems with pills and alcohol. But despite Eminem's lifelong feud with his mother, who he seemingly spent years hating, there was actually once a time when Debbie Mathers welcomed Kim into her home with open arms. In fact, once they met, Eminem's mother would allow Kim to stay with them in her home permanently, with Eminem's mother Debbie recalling meeting Kim for the first time in her memoir, saying that a 15-year-old Eminem brought her home and Kim had claimed to be 15, though Debbie thought she looked like she could have been 17. However, Debbie would only later discover that Kim was only 13 at this time, something which Eminem would continue to deny. Debbie apparently took Kim into her home and treated her as the daughter she always wanted, lending her clothes and teaching her to use makeup. And over time, apparently Kim would open up to Debbie about her own troubled past, suggesting that she had been subjected to abuse of both a physical and sexual nature, but Debbie would have some doubts. But despite the relationship between them getting closer, Kim would still rebel against Debbie as if she was one of her own parents, with Kim apparently refusing to do chores around the house, or trailer, apparently expecting to be cleaned up after, and even apparently stealing lingerie from Debbie and denying it after being caught red-handed. Kim's presence in the Mathers household was purely toxic. Debbie actually recounted a heartbreaking instance where Kim had told debt collectors that Debbie couldn't keep up with the payments on her furniture, leading Debbie to lose all of her belongings while she attended the funeral for her brother Ronnie. It really does seem that from Debbie's account at least, Kim was a toxic figure in the house from day one. But Eminem couldn't see this, and he would regularly get dragged deeply into whatever trouble Kim wanted to get them both into. Eminem and Kim would frequently run away from home together, and according to Debbie's memoirs, a manipulative Kim would often goad Eminem into fights by falsely claiming that other men had attacked her. Funnily enough, Kim was never supportive of Eminem's music either. Debbie would claim that Eminem's sole focus was rap before he met Kim, but once he got a girlfriend, his focus shifted solely to her, and she would make fun of his music, telling him he would never make it, and encouraging him to throw his rhyme books in the trash. Little did she know. Now, it's clear from these snippets from Debbie's biography that Kim was not a positive force in Eminem's life. She seemingly had an abusive and controlling nature, perhaps coming the result of the abuse that she had suffered at the hands of her original family, or perhaps simply the result of a small-minded, childish nature and jealous personality. Maybe if Kim had somebody in her life growing up to teach her the right way to treat people or the right way to handle her emotions, things could have been different. Sadly, that wasn't the case, and at this time, the young, naive, and negative Kim simply could not fathom that Eminem might just find success beyond the streets of Detroit's slums. Debbie Mathers clearly identified some of these issues and even claimed to have attempted to ban Kim from the house. But at this point, Em was under her spell, frequently being told by Kim that he would need to choose between her or his mum. Now naturally, with such a toxic and absolutist approach to the relationship, it's no surprise that eventually Kim and Em would break up for some reason. And from here, a pattern would emerge in the relationship, whereby anytime Eminem would move on and find some new woman, Kim would manufacture some drama to meddle in Em's life once again. And this cycle would repeat pretty much their entire lives. But soon a life-changing event would take place that would change Eminem and Kim's destiny forever, as well as impacting all of his career going forward. Because despite Eminem having briefly found a new and more stable girlfriend, Kim would reveal that she had fallen pregnant with Em's child in 1995, prompting Eminem to leave his new stable relationship and return to chaos with Kim. Their daughter, Haley Jade Mathers, would arrive on Christmas Day 1995. But the spiral of abuse would continue, and now Em and Kim's new child Haley would now become a pawn in her mind games against him. In fact, apparently the toxicity started from the very day Haley was born, as Kim would apparently refuse to put Eminem's name on the birth certificate, stating that because this was the case at her birth, her daughter should suffer the same fate, despite Eminem doing the right thing and always wanting to be there for his child from day one, because Eminem's father was never there for him, and no doubt he wanted a chance to break that cycle for his child, but Kim would attempt to keep even that opportunity from him. But despite the abuse, Eminem would vow to take an active role in bringing up his daughter, a vow that we would see him keep publicly throughout his career, for better or for worse. From here, Kim would allegedly use newborn Haley as a weapon against Em and Debbie, threatening constantly to withhold her from them. And the tension would continue to brew between Em and Kim as they both continued to work to support their newborn child. Eminem would work at Gilbert's Lodge restaurant in St. Clair Shores, and Kim would work at a massage parlor which Debbie claimed had a dubious background with unusual services being offered. A Detroit rapper who was around Eminem in the early days, named Hush, would later reveal in a Cam Capone interview that Eminem would continue to have endless confrontations with Kim following the birth of their child, telling one shocking story of an instance where Kim was working at that massage parlor and apparently Eminem was suspicious that she was sleeping with the boss, with Hush apparently having to go find Eminem before he did something crazy to them both outside of the business.
Kim at this time was working at a massage parlor. He's on his way to that massage parlor where Kim works, and he's gonna kill her. He thinks she's sleeping with her boss. This fool is out of his car, crouched down behind a dumpster, peeking around the corner, waiting on her. What are you doing right now? Like, man, fuck that bitch. Like, I'm a killer. That bitch, I know she's sleeping with blah, blah, blah. And I was like, man, get in the car. Like, you're stupid. Here she comes walking out of the massage parlor, walking with this dude. She's got a rose in her hand. She's just like doop to doop to doop to doop. And he gets out the car like, you blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like...
The cycle of ups and downs between Eminem and Kim would seemingly never end. In fact, one account by M's best friend and D12 bandmate Proof suggested that they would often come back from shows together to find all of Eminem's clothes thrown out the window, with Proof saying that Eminem would frequently swing between saying that he's leaving her for good and then being back with her the next day, prophetically predicting that Em would indeed end up marrying Kim. And these ups and downs were extreme on both sides and would continue in the years to come, with Kim and Eminem swinging from being together deeply in a manic love to splitting up and Kim using Haley as a weapon against Em. And during these periods of the relationship being on hold, Eminem would fall into a deep pit of depression, fostering a dark hatred towards Kim. At some point around this time, during a period of turbulence in their relationship, Eminem would even get a spiteful tattoo of a tombstone on his stomach that read, "Rot in pieces, Kim." Hardly a great omen of their relationship to come, but it shows just how dark and dangerous their psychotic love affair could get at times. So during the times when Eminem was being kept away from his daughter and the woman he loved, at least he would be able to fall back on his main passion, which Kim never seemed to want to support, his music and his rhyme book. So regardless of the struggles in his personal life, Eminem would continue pushing his music career forward for the next couple of years. But sadly, it would be quite some time before he would have his shot and become the household name that we know him as today.